Welcome to Consequential Conversations. We're here today doing our second interview today, and we're at Timberline, a beautiful place that many people call home, and brand new here in Port Alberni, and it's lovely. Plus, it's a lovely day outside. Our guest today is somebody that I met when I moved here to Port Alberni some years ago. His name's Bob. Actually, there's two Bobs here today, Bob and Bob. But Bob, our guest, is who I would define, if somebody was to ask me to describe Bob Cangieser, I would say he is the ultimate gentleman. And a very, very intelligent man that I learned a lot from in my time with the Chamber of Commerce. Bob is, well, super intelligent as far as I'm concerned, and a very nice guy. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the other Bob, who's also a nice guy. There you go.
Well, thank you. Mr. K, I'm trying to, Bob Cangieser, I'm trying to remember how many years ago I might have first met you, but you became secretary at the school board, and I ended up being a school district trustee.
You did.
And I want to thank you, really thank you, because my first foray into school board politics was a real eye-opener. I'd been on the regional district before that, and it was pretty casual, but school board politics is pretty big things. And we had a superintendent who ran the show like Colonel Klink, but we're a little, maybe not that bad, but you kept it together. You really, the meetings were a pleasure that were managed or organized or agended by you, and had a good time on school board. Some we'll talk about later. Good to see you. You're and you're looking really great.
Well,
Bob.
yeah. So
when was that? When did you come to town?
we came here in the end of May of 1987. I had been in Kitimat with the chemical company, and they got transferred by that company to Calgary, to their head office, and that only lasted a couple of months. Interesting enough, that one of the fellows came into the office this day in Calgary and said, well, Bob, we're moving the office to Vancouver in January. This was in October. He says, we're moving the office to Vancouver in January, and you're not part of the move. When I said, oh, that's interesting, I said, that sounds to me like I've just been fired.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we're just giving you notice. And I said, no, the notice is accepted. And I packed up my briefcase and walked out.
Gee whiz.
Then I had to fight like hell to get some severance paper. Anyway, that's
Yeah.
So then I answered an ad in a newspaper. They were looking for a secretary treasurer in School District 70 Alberni in Port Alberni. And we wanted to get back to British Columbia, and in particular, wife Jean loved the island. She was, that's a place for you guys. So, yeah.
You applied, and
That's what came here in the end of May of 87. And
Wow.
haven't looked back.
no, I haven't looked back. It was an eye-opener because I'd always worked in the private sector before, and accounting, administration, and that kind of stuff. And coming here in the public sector was very much an eye-opener.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, when we'd been in Kitimat, I had served on council for a couple of years in Kitimat. So I kind of got a sense of what politics and the public sector was like. But administratively and accounting wise, and that in the district here in 87 was definitely an eye opener.
You might have given me some good advice. Somebody did, and it might have been you. It was, if you're going to a meeting and you're going to ask a question, know the answer before you ask the question. And the other one was to know talk to the other board members and see how many might be on side before you propose anything. Because otherwise, it could be a real uphill battle.
Yeah.
Uphill battle.
That makes sense.
And I remember, Bob, you were probably on the board then, I just can't remember, but
I was on 5 years around teaching negotiation when we were still individually bargaining each district.
oh yeah, that was a real eye-opener. I remember that trip to, we flew over from Nanaimo over to Vancouver for this big meeting with the School Trustees Association. And the teachers had just been given full scope bargaining at that time. So it would have been in the summer of 87, I guess. And so the fellow from there stood up and said, hang on your hats, folks. It's going to be a hell of a rough ride.
Really?
Yeah, and he was absolutely right, because school districts didn't know how they had dealt with support staff unions, QP typically, but
Never with teachers union. Yes.
full scope bargaining for teachers was a job on from an administrative point of view. It was very good.
I stuck away from work for all the meetings in the 8th Avenue Annex. We sat there. We ended up on a 42-hour locked in the boardroom there, 42 hours with Vince Reddy, I think.
Really?
Gave us sleep deprivation, and we all caved at the end, both the teacher side and us. We just,
Sign here. Yeah.
Let's go home.
That's Vince Reddy, all right. Yeah.
Wow.
Sat up in the hallway most of the time.
Yeah, I think he went. I think he went down.
Back in the sleep.
I think he went down to the Barclay for a few hours at a time. Come back. I'm not sure.
And he's still active.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy. No, we had. It wasn't as bad as I thought. In the negotiations we had with local teachers here, again, Brandner and Lizzie Wright and that sort of stuff, they were really, we were just people in the same town and talking across the table. They had some marching orders in general, province-wide.
Yeah.
And we just had our local perspective, and it was hard to manage. But Mr. K led us through that very well, and he was well liked by the trustees in general, especially the lady trustees. Those ones they liked you very much. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, we had some great people on the board over the years.
Before we leave the board thing, can I just mention your 50th birthday party? Can I get you a little? I want to see a little color in your face. We took the roll of film out of Donna Brett's camera and exposed it and threw it in the garbage before we left because we thought this isn't a good idea.
Not like today where, oh boy, anything happens, it's captured. There's no...
Yeah, and Bob's never had use of a gentleman. And he always dressed a gentleman. He looked a gentleman. Dressed immaculately, well kept and all this sort of stuff. And when Heather Maloney and Donna came into his office and they had something real serious to talk to him about, and I was on the time schedule. I had to arrive right at 10 o'clock in his office. He's a busy guy. And at 10 o'clock, I walked in. Maeve LeBlanc let me through the little lock gate and directly into your office with the two strippers in fur coats.
Oh, strippers.
Into his office. And it said, happy, birthday, and then they turned around. Bob was on their behinds. He's sitting there, and Donna's clicking pictures, and we decided to film that film. But it really was a good time, and they were just two local girls that we even know. That's the worst part. When I asked for volunteers for this, it was really amazing. Everybody said yes. So.
You and Don Cochran.
Yeah, well, Cochran, he was the character. Remember the meetings if some staff were walking or something, we're talking around the table, he's telling or he's very serious talk. And we're talking, serious matters, school district discipline, teaching something. And somebody would walk in and he'd go, and I told the priest, we're not going to, right in the middle of it, he just changed the subject. Oh, and as soon as they left the room, he was right back on point. So, very good.
Yeah, we had some character.
He had a joke for everything.
Oh, I had jokes. Those bus rides back from the school board meetings in Banfield late at night. Oh, pouring down rain in that gravel road.
Oh, terrible, yeah.
And after that, Roberta Jensen would sometimes drive to UQuick.
Yeah.
After the meetings. Or we went to the Legion after a few meetings because Norm Thiessen had a membership and would get us all in the Legion after a meeting. We got along pretty well for a board.
Well, I think those kind of days, I inherited that kind of idea from Kitimat City Council. After the meeting, the formal part of the meeting, there's time to kind of downsize a bit, and so we started a little.
You don't want to leave a meeting, man, because you and I just read about something and go home and let it fester. You might as well sit after and say, well,
So nothing like a cool beer to calm the temper.
Yeah, for sure. That's good.
So then. After school board, you got involved in a lot of things. Port Authority.
Well, I was on the Port Authority. Joined that for 10 years, and I think we did some things. I look today, I see that was it a 400-ton?
Yeah, the travel agreement.
I remember. I was talking about that. Wouldn't that be great? I mean, and some sort of marine industries here, and we worked at it, and I'm really pleased today to see that success. It's becoming a very different port, and I can speak of it, a very important port. I
don't know where it's going, but I connected Carter and Zoran with the people building the new tunnel for these, and they need a dry dock to build the 300-foot concrete sections that they float, and they're looking seriously at being done here because they were going to do it in the Fraser Delta, and they were going to build this dry dock, build the things, and then reclaim the land back to what it was and tear down this whatever it is, multi-million-dollar dry dock. Why not put it someplace where it could have a lasting legacy? So I don't know. It did a lot of politics and a lot of.
Well, I think a dry dock is next year. I think that'll come. How big it'll be, I don't know. But I think that the Navy, Coast Guard, and fisheries, and that they're looking for another place than just Victoria for a dry dock.
And sheltered, mostly freshwater surface. Yeah, it's got a lot of port. It's got a lot of. Well, there was the Ocean Ranger, the big drilling rig here, in the harbor. This was going to be we're going to repair drilling rigs. That one sank.
It's just slower and happening than what we all.
Put it back. Everything takes so long.
Some of it has, we're still around. It's just nice to see, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So and then chamber, and you and I were quite involved in the chamber for a while.
A lot of years.
Business, government,
You and I were a big part of hiring this fellow over here.
Everybody were, yeah. You guys were on that committee. I was questioning our wisdom when we did it, but he proved himself with that.
He did prove himself very much.
Very good.
Yeah, that was a good extra. And then in a few years at 8 years that would be in Bill. Yeah, great years in the chamber here. That was good fun, and I was pleased to work with that and started up kind of what I call then the Civic Affairs Committee. Really, the chamber had some interaction with the city, which was, I think, very useful at time. And I'm sorry it's not really offering.
Well, you know what, we could, to be honest, Bob, we couldn't really replace you in that role. Well, we could, because you were so driven to understand taxation and all that stuff. And, many people aren't, right? But that was so valuable in that. And
we tried it years before with our taxation study in similar communities, similar size. And I was just fighting my tax and through the building, same size building, and then I'm always paying half the tax, twice the population, twice the business, and that. So we affected industrial and residential and commercial building tax, and we were able to keep a ceiling on it.
Yeah.
But those things need to be reviewed. And you don't just let them go till they get way out of line.
Yeah.
And
but during Bob's time there running that committee, we had a lot of impact with the city. We really did.
And we tried to have impact with our MLA. That seemed to be our MLA at the time didn't seem to want to he wanted to tell us what could be done. He didn't want to listen to what.
That's the job description, isn't it?
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, those were frustrating, trying to set up a meeting with an MLA.
Yeah.
I can tell you a story, though. It goes back to my days when I was in the Air Force, when I was just a young fella. And I was thinking of this the other day, and I think this is kind of a weird thing that happened. But in my training, and this be in July of 1964, I guess, we did a round-the-world training trip. And one of the guys that came along on this trip was a civilian fella. He was known as the scientific advisor to the air officer commanding something or other. And he came on the trip. I think afterwards they were just glad to get rid of him for a couple of weeks. But anyway, he came along and he was doing officially to do a study on crew fatigue with all these 24 time zones around.
Yeah.
And we thought, well, this guy's really well prepared. He had a notebook, a couple of pens, and he had 3 watches.
Oh, yeah.
One on Trenton, Ontario time, our base. One on Greenwich, one on Zoom time, international time.
Yeah.
And one on the local time, wherever he was at.
Yeah.
But he forgot to label which watch was.
Oh, jeez.
Or he didn't remember.
Yeah.
So here we are. We flew from Trenton, Ontario to Aden, which is in the south end of the Red Sea, to New Delhi, to an air base in the Indian Ocean, to Hong Kong, Wing Island, and back to Vancouver and back. 79 hours of flight time.
Wow.
We hauled this guy out of every bar. He was always late for I don't watch. Even what I say, I don't watch. So I would just have loved to see his report. Oh, yeah. I mean, if they this guy, and they're probably just clapping.
And might have been somebody's son-in-law or something. Right? You know, free trip around.
Could have been. I don't know, but that was a memorable trip. My eyes got wide open.
How long did you spend with the Air Force?
About 7 years.
7 years. Yeah.
We had some good fun.
Yeah. His military experience helped him with regiment and whatever. You couldn't get him too far off track.
Yeah.
It was good to see.
That is good. I admire that. I admire that training, that poise, all of that. I think it's fantastic. Yeah.
And some need it more than others.
Yeah.
They sent me to boarding school, so I get a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah. Yeah. I know it's pretty pleased last Saturday night that the Legion had their 100th anniversary dinner.
Oh, yeah.
And I got a 45-year pin. So,
wow, good for you.
That 45 years and undetected crime.
By the way, it's wonderful that they combine the two legions. You know, this community has that trouble in organizations. You were talking earlier, Industrial Heritage Society. I'm in a Maritime Heritage Society, and they have similar purpose, similar vision, similar everything, and yet they have trouble having a secretary, treasurer, and a PD.
Yeah.
And I tried to get a merge happening between them because it just...
Well, Rotary's tried for years. They can't. They different goals, and so both of them are underpopulated, right?
Well, they split years.
Oh, they did?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's young. And they split to a breakfast club and a noon hour club or something.
Yeah. Now they've been struggling.
Yeah, they're just maybe thinking about getting that together.
But the Legion's coming together. I like to see that building used the way it is. I like the mural on the side is absolutely fantastic. It's really well done. It's a good reminder.
Yeah, they're doing
and two of our earlier interviewees talked about dumping their loads of logs, right? Their logging trucks around that, come across the ridge of Kentucky, around the big circle and headed up. And they were both 14 and 15 years old driving loaded logging trucks with no license. One was Tommy Hertel, and the other was Ed Spencer.
Yeah.
Ed Spencer at 101. So.
You guys might remember that building, the Legion building, was originally a school.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, that was up early in school, up above the tracks.
Yeah. They moved the building,
and then added on to it.
So where the dog run is now, right behind there.
Across the creek?
The Legion's across the street from the dog run.
Oh, yeah, okay, so across there, yeah. But that dog run used to be a ballpark.
Oh, it was a ball, it was a ball for it.
Yeah.
So now it's just going to be watch the roundabout.
Yeah.
You used to watch the boat lounge for entertainment. We're going to watch logging trucks coming off Beaver Creek.
Yeah.
The road around the roundabout. I think they've done a great job, and they've done it, it seems like, on time. And they've managed it fairly well. We thought we'd be driving past Neil's school or Sumas.
No, they have done a great
all winter, and we did.
I think it's going to be great.
Yeah,
I'd like to see one up at the junction where the chamber is, just for the value of Southport.
Yeah,
a big roundabout up there would give you more, because right now access into the visitor center chamber office, you can't turn left off the highway. People do, but you can't.
Yeah.
But if you could go around the roundabout and in, just be, and then and add some parking for RVs. RV parking, all these Cannon Dreams and adventurers and all those motorhomes and stuff going through to the West Coast. And it's really hard to find a place to pull off in Alberni.
Yeah.
Really hard.
Yeah. It is, yeah.
You want them to stop, give them a spot.
So what have you been doing lately, Bob?
Well, I don't do much. I did my bit with the Port Authority, and then I worked at Meals on Wheels for...
Meals on Wheels, yeah.
I enjoyed that.
You're not involved anymore with that?
No, I'm not anymore, no. I just, it comes to an end. And,
Bill's driving for the Cancer Society. Which is really, really great, but it's also impeded. I said, well, let's do an interview on Friday. Oh, no, let's do an interview. I'm not going to be busy.
Of course, you're never very busy. No.
That's right.
Nothing going on.
So, that's not doing too much else these days.
Don't be afraid to write a letter to the editor once in a while.
Well, I do that, and I still follow city council, and
I like your perspective and your opinion on many things. I don't like all the letters I see to the editor, but some have experience and value.
Well, I just, I stood before council a couple of weeks ago now. No, a couple of months ago. and asked him about this zoning that they did. And it just blows my mind away that the three zoning questions they had about commercial or warehouse use in a commercial property, that the Merit Furniture and the Woodward's building, which is Colson's, some kind of thing. And then they had the two trailer courts up here just off Redford at Wynn. Yeah. So the trailer courts, basically the same operation across the street from each other, had applied for a temporary use permit to allow them to put a recreational trailer in there, which they had been doing for years and years.
Yeah.
There's some bylaw or some government regulation that you can't have a recreational trailer year-round in a trailer court. Can we be there for 6 months or so? And I guess there's something to do with electrical work and insulation and I don't know what else. But they've been there for years.
Yeah.
So what did the city do? They granted one of the operators a temporary use permit, not the other, and denied the other.
Oh, you're kidding.
At two different meetings, two different across the street from each other, these two things.
Different people were...
And one of the excuses offered by our mayor was, well, different councillors were at different meetings and we thought differently, and that's the answer.
Yeah, different councillors who were present for two different things. And the vote is 4-3. 4-3, and if somebody's not there, it's 3-2.
Yeah.
No, I said, it must be interesting going to look at those businessmen in the eye and say, well, you're okay.
Yeah, and you're not.
And you're not okay. Yeah. That's very interesting.
And our ACRD's got the same issue with, logic. I always wanted the Department of Logic, and no matter what is applied for zoning.
That should be a Department of Logic.
There should be a Department of Logic, and they shouldn't be government bureaucrats. They should just be some general people. That's that should work.
Yeah. And then they were talking about the zoning, the use of the property rather as a warehouse for the guy who owns the Merit Furniture down across there. And the discussion goes around, well, the windows are dirty. There's a facade above the awning that needs cleaned up. There's people sleeping in the doorway. There's no power in there. There's no heat in there and this kind of stuff. That's not the issue. The issue is it's in the commercial zone and using it as a warehouse. Stick to the issue.
Yeah.
They couldn't stick to the issue. All these other little things were all bubbling up. And why it shouldn't be allowed a temporary use permit. Well, if you clean up the building, maybe we'll allow a temporary... What?
Yeah.
I'd sit here and saying, well, what?
Well, logic and common sense are two things that are kind of been diminishing over the last while. So
yeah. But I also went with them. I'm sorry if I'm carrying on.
This is interesting.
Part of my...
Hey, we'll get more views. If we get controversial here, we're going to have some... controversial, consequential conversations.
Yeah.
We could have the triple C.
No. Wayne Colson and his group had been operating the old Woodward Zones building as a warehouse manufacturing facility. I don't know what all.
For
paying his taxes. Yeah. Had nice window displays.
Window displays, nicely done.
Been doing this for years.
Yeah.
Someone obviously complained. So the bylaw says you cannot have a warehouse manufacturing facility in a commercial zone.
That's what changes on. So
what did they do? He applied for a temporary use permit. They denied it. So what's he going to do? He's going to move out.
Yeah.
What else is he going to do?
Yeah.
Or try and put some sort of commercial thing in. So I went to council. I stood up there and I said, this should never, ever have it come to council meeting.
Yeah.
When this subject first came up as a complaint or whatever, the city manager or even the mayor should have walked down the street and followed the Colson and say, look, we don't want this to come to council.
Yeah.
This is what an administrator does. Yeah. This should not come to council because council has to make a decision.
Yeah.
It's their bylaws into a corner, and they're going to uphold the bylaw.
Yeah, they have to. They're bound to hold up a bylaw.
They're going to rock my heart like. So let's figure out a solution to this.
Makes
sense.
And the other problem you have lawyers on council too, which is scare the heck out.
Well,
we have a lawyer as the chair of the Sport Lake Community Association. He's a personal injury lawyer, and he's a nice enough guy. But boy, they have a different perspective on life.
Yeah.
Yeah, you forget reality sometimes.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well, it is.
these little things just.
So what do you think of that?
Yeah. But it's good that you do that.
We could come back. What do you think of controversial conversations?
There you go.
I'm gonna ask
I'll be charter member.
I didn't try to remember that, but we started it. You know, you can get lots of views. You know,
For sure.
you want people to show up for a Sprout Lake Community Association meeting. You say we're going to ban everything over 9.9 horsepower on Sprout Lake. Holy crow! 200 people showed up for the meeting. It was just a scam, but
Yeah, but it got them there.
Oh, wow.
People there. Yeah.
Okay, well, there you have it. Our consequential or controversial consequential conversation, or casual.
no, with casual.
Bob's got all kinds of little adjectives to put in front of that. But like all of these, I've really enjoyed this today with a guy I call a friend, Bob Cangeezer. So find us on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, and tune in next time. Thanks for now.
Thanks, Bob.
Buff. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank